Welcome to the first episode of Undiscoveredd. I'm your host, Burton Placid, and today we have a special guest, Laz Rodriguez from South River, New Jersey, tight end at Tennessee Tech. Man, appreciate you coming out and taking your time to come do this.
Thank you for having me, bro. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. Man, Tennessee Tech, tight end, football here, being from New Jersey, both from Jersey, how was that and how'd you end up here, man?
It was a long journey. God guided me on the way. I played basketball my whole life. Stopped playing football in 7th grade. Just playing basketball all year round, AAU, all that stuff. And then, had a good high school career. Scored 1,000 points, a couple all-conference stuff. Pretty successful team that we had our junior and senior year. But obviously, going into college, I'm not the ideal height for a forward.
Yeah.
In college now, you got to be like 6'8". You got to be like tall for a guard. It's you got to be my height for a guard now.
For for sure.
So, the recruiting process was tough. Just sending out those emails, those Twitter DMs all day. And you don't really hear back from them. That's the recruiting process though. So the year ended. So we went to the sectional final. We played they were like number 5 in the state. We had the home court advantage and, had the whole town out. I'm from a small town, so it was really packed gym, small gym, but probably like 700 people in there, So
yeah.
it was a crazy game. We ended up losing by 5, but after that, it was like my whole world, I was like, what am I going to do now? Because senior year, you want to get recruited your junior year. That's the year you really get recruited. Senior year, it's kind of like, last minute.
Yeah, prime AAU time during the junior year.
AAU during junior year, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't really get anything. So, but before the senior year started, my dad told me, he was like, Laz, you may not be like the ideal height for like a D1, low D1, college basketball player, but your height, you've always been able to catch the ball. Just start training football again, see what happens. And the season ended. My dad reminded me of that. I'm like, no, I'll just go to school. Like I got into Penn State, like some other schools, like for school.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, you told me that you were going to do this, so try it. I'll support you in that. So I started training, just posting stuff on Twitter, and I ended up getting a Twitter DM where I saw a post on Twitter of IMG postgrad, and they had like a Google form, and they were like, fill this out if you're interested in playing postgrad football.
Yeah.
So I was like, I talked to my parents about it. I'm like, let me just fill it out, see what happens. And you know how IMG being such a top name, I was like, no way they'll answer. It's whatever, I'll just fill it out, see what happens. And like the next day, they texted me back, and they're like, we're interested in you. You got the height. So I had to explain my whole story, and they're like, you got a lot of upside. So if you're interested in coming there, coming down here to Florida, we'll welcome you with full arms. And I did. It was a crazy journey there.
Okay.
But, nothing but blessings coming from there.
Most definitely. So, how was that whole experience? First year playing football again since, 7th, 8th grade? And then going to IMG, me growing up, seeing IMG, all the top high school football players go there, basketball players. I remember Noah Farrakhan from New Jersey.
Yep.
It was crazy. So how was that first year, being at IMG, living in Florida and living that life?
Yeah, it was awesome. So I went there post-grad, so I graduated high school, and I just did a semester there.
Okay.
So I took college credits, but, the goal there was to, for me, so when I was posting my videos on Twitter of me training, I was sending it to coaches, and they were like, that's awesome, but I need game film. I didn't have no game film because I didn't play football in high school.
Yeah.
So the goal for me there was, to get bigger, faster, stronger, build. I was 6'4", 200 pounds, obviously need to be bigger for a tight end, so I gained weight and stuff. So it was a good experience. I did all that. You've seen the campus, it's crazy. It's beautiful. The facilities and everything. Made lifelong friends, guys that I call brothers to this day. They're awesome dudes. from everywhere. You know, guys from Florida, Wisconsin. We had a dude from Mexico, Germany, like just like other dudes, and you know, it was a great time, and you know, I learned the game of football from there. You know, the quarterback of our team, Chase, his name is, he's smart, one of the smartest guys I met, like football wise, and when I first got there, they gave us the playbook, and we have our coaches are, you know, top like former NFL guys. Like our head coach was one of the running backs on the Jerry Rice and Joe Montana teams. Our quarterbacks coach played 15 years in the league. Oh, wow. You know, so dudes with resumes, so they know what they're talking about. So they give us the playbook, and they're like, "You guys got to start going over these concepts." I'm like, I don't even know what a concept is. Like, I don't know what a spacing concept, a drive concept. So, you know, we were just every night. We would go over the playbook, and you know, on a whiteboard, just keep constantly writing them down until it was muscle memory in your head. So at IMG, it wasn't only me just, you know, getting film, but I actually learned the game really well down there. And, you know, the goal there was obviously to get film and stuff so we can go into the mid-year in the spring semester, go to a school there so you start the spring ball, so you kind of get a head start in front of everyone. And, but yeah.
So like before, like going to IMG, like was JUCO never an option? Because I went JUCO in California. So was that ever an option?
I don't think it was. I mean, my trainer back home, he's preparing for the draft now. He had a good couple years in college, and he did the post grad route as well. Yeah, and he was able to go to Merrimack. He had like an All-American year. His name's Jakari Carter. Love that guy. He's really what got me here. Him and this other guy, Chris. You know, they built that for me. But you know, since he went post grad, he was kind of more on the post grad side, just because you go JUCO. I mean, not now, but you know, back then, you know, you lose a year eligibility going to JUCO. You know, which you know, I didn't post grad since that was an option. You know, I'm a young guy. I'm only 19, so you know, I didn't want to lose that year. You know, so.
Gotcha.
It was definitely on the table, but I was leaning more towards the post grad route.
So like at IMG, how was like the living situation for the post grad? Like, I was in apartments, I was on campus. Like, how was that like?
Yeah, so we were on campus. It was a little weird because, you know, we're older guys. Everyone else there is high schoolers. You know, they had post grad programs not just for football. They had soccer, basketball. You know, so we were in one of the dorms, but we had like our own hallway, and it was amazing. We had I don't know if you've seen the campus before, but there's like a pool with a huge TV there. Like that's where we and then they have the basketball court and the volleyball courts right there. So we were kind of in the middle of everything, and it was all, the one thing that I didn't really like was, you know, we're technically guys in college, you know, but since we're in that facility and those dorms, you kind of treated like a high school kid. You know, you got to be back at a certain time. You can't if you want to leave, you got to, you know, sign something for your parents to see, and then they got to accept it. Like
so it's strict.
It's very strict, very strict. You know, I mean, because they're liable for the kids because it's everyone's staying there. You know, they don't go home. So
you was only there for basically 6 months.
Yeah.
That winter season. And how was that season?
It was good. We you know, playing with a bunch of guys that you know they were either they got injured maybe junior senior year that they weren't able to get recruited, or guys that just felt they wanted more. We went undefeated. You know, we won the national post grad championship. It was a long year, so I was the only tight end on the roster. So there was no 12 personnel. It was straight 11 and 10, obviously, or 21 or whatever. But it was, my body was beat up. Like I had like my hamstring, my groin. You know, it was a tough year. Like to get through that. I remember coming home in December after we won, and I just needed to chill for like 2 weeks because my body was so beat up. Because I mean, you know, just being the only tight end on the roster, you know, you're playing a lot and no break, and you're on the line of scrimmage. You know, so it's tough. And since we only had like 30 guys on our team, so everyone played like every special teams too. So I played every snap from the tight end, and I played kickoff return, punt block, The only one I didn't play was field goal block. So, but it was a great year. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I made lifelong brothers there, and I'm so grateful that God put me in that position.
How many games do y'all play?
I want to say maybe it was 10 or 11.
10 or 11? Okay.
We had a couple times that, so the post-grad is not, like some schools, like, I don't know how to explain this, but some schools aren't very legit, and they're kind of like running on like fumes. Like they don't really have a program. Like they'll have, they kind of pay their kids to be like in apartments or something, and they don't really have a facility like we did, you know, so it's a little tougher for those other schools. So, you know, sometimes, like we had maybe 2 times that a program got shut down mid-season, so like our games got canceled, which sucked because we're all trying to get film, and when you're losing games, it's like, and you know, it was hard too because, you know, in the beginning of the year, like everyone was sending out stuff. We had have you heard of NCSA? Like it's like some recruiting thing. I don't know if it really. I've seen that before. Yeah, we were using that. We were sending stuff through that, emails, Twitter DMs, Instagram, you know, and everyone's there doing the same thing. And you know, it was a lot of pressure because you don't want to go there, you know, spend the money that go in there and then not get an opportunity somewhere. You know, it was tough, but yeah.
So boom, then you win the championship. You go home for 2 weeks. So what ultimately made you choose here, like Tennessee Tech?
So I always, my family wants to eventually move down to Florida. We got a lot of family down there in the Tampa area and the Miami area. They prefer the West Coast, like near Tampa. But my dad, you know, he works his tail off he works in the port up in Port of Newark. Crazy hours, like go to work at 10, you know, come back. Got to go to work at like 4 a.m. Like he has crazy hours. He does so much, and it's so cold up there. You know how the winters are in New Jersey. They're like dark, cloudy, cold, miserable. You know, so they want to move down there. So I was praying that I can get a school down south. You know, somewhere down south, because the schools I got recruited to were Wagner in New York, Stonehill in Massachusetts, Sacred Heart in Connecticut, and you know, those were going into January, those were the only schools that I had the option to. I'd visited Sacred Heart, and then I was going to go visit Stonehill later in January. But, you know, going to Sacred Heart, you know, meeting the coach, like, it didn't feel right. You know, it didn't really seem I was wanted there. But it was so funny. So I'm a Christian, and my whole family is Christian. And, like, especially my mom, you know, she's always been faithful. And, you know, I'm just sitting at the house, you know, I'm praying that, like, you know, God has the right situation for me, which he always does. But, you know, it's hard in the moment to have faith in that. And I get a Twitter follow by a dude named Coach Blessing, you know. So I tell my mom that, and she's like, you know, she starts being corny. She's like, oh, that's such a blessing, Coach Blessing. Like, you know, he reached out to you. That's from God. I'm like, all right, Mom, like, chill. Like, it is, but, like, you don't got to make it weird. Don't say it. So I got that, and it's in Tennessee. I've never heard of Tennessee Tech before, but I saw their Division I FCS. So I was like, you know, they're down south. Like, you know, why not, you know? And, you know, texting the coach, you know, Coach Blessing was really, he was a really good guy. You know, he made me seem wanted. And, you know, coming in January, I just felt that this was the right spot. And, you know, I've been grateful ever since being here.
Okay, so that's good, man. I'm glad you came here. When are the workouts going on right now? So just want to ask you, like, how's that going for you right now? I know spring ball starts up in 2 weeks after spring break. So just overall, how's winter workouts going, and just what's your goals for spring ball?
It's been good. I've been getting bigger, faster, stronger with Coach L. You know, he's awesome coach. He really trusts what he's doing. And just some goals for spring ball, you know, just play as much as I can, get as many reps as I can, just learn the game a little more, and then, you know, we'll see what God has planned for me for the rest of the year.
Okay.